Hi, I'm Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. She is my feature author of the month of December. Award winning author, no other than Miss Cat Rambo.
Hello.
Welcome back, Miss Cat. And as usual, can you please introduce more about yourself?
Yes, I am Cat Rambo. I have written 7 novels now and close to 300 short stories, and I write fantasy and science fiction, and delighted to be here.
Yes. Miss Cat Rambo, thank you so much again for sharing your knowledge to the world. Looking forward for award-winning piece like this. So, what is the main premise of Beast of Tabat?
In Beasts of Tibet, there is two storylines. One follows a young boy who has come from the north to the city of Tibet, and he has a secret that he doesn't
Yes.
want anybody to know. And he gets tangled up with the second point of view, who is a gladiator who fights in the ritual games of Tibet every year. And it's in a world where there are human beings, but there's also intelligent magical creatures like centaurs and minotaurs and dryads and that sort of thing. And they are basically sort of in servitude to the human beings. But it's at a point in time where they're starting to question whether that is actually the natural order, which is what the humans have been asserting, which is in fact probably not true.
So Tabat is the name of the planet.
It is the name of the
Tabat.
city.
Oh,
It's
the name of
the
the
name of the
city.
city. It's yeah.
That'd be awesome. So how would you describe the tone and atmosphere of this novel?
I think it's rather steampunky, or at least it's got a kind of whiff of steampunk, but it's also very focused on the magical creatures. So it's literary fantasy. It's secondary world fantasy. It's a world not our own. Um, but it is very definitely a fantasy world that I have written a bunch of short stories in as well. So yeah.
So what are the major themes explored in the book?
One of the big themes is what's kind of embodied by what's happening to what the magical creatures who are called the beasts.
Yes.
And what's happening to the beasts is that the humans are both infantilizing them, treating them like children, and also treating them like something very, very dangerous, and kind of justifying the oppression that's going on through this sort of combination of, oh, they're children that we need to watch over, and like, oh, they're very dangerous, so we need to keep an eye on them.
So Miss Cat, what place on earth do you find this place?
Um, I think if you were going to kind of loosely base it on our own world, Tibet is kind of down on the coast of Florida.
How does the protagonist evolve to this novel?
Over the course of the books, because there's four of them, the boy, whose name is Teo, learns to deal with his secret, and the other protagonist, Bella Canto, who is the gladiator, learns to not be quite so full of herself and is very humbled over the course of the books, and then has to kind of redefine herself in the last book in order to prevail.
Prevail. So how many books you will provide for this novel,
So
Miss?
it's four altogether. It's called a quartet. And I'm very happy to have just finished writing the fourth book and turned it into the publisher a couple of months ago. And I know that it will come out in 2025 from Wordfire Press, which is the press run by Kevin J. Anderson, who is also going to edit the book.
Yeah. So, are there any characters whose motivations are particularly ambiguous or surprising?
Um, yeah, I think the gladiator Bella Canto is much more arrogant and self-centered than you kind of expect a protagonist to be. And so her learning curve is therefore pretty steep. Um, so she is a little bit ambiguous, particularly in this very first book, in that she's very brash. She's very proud of her social station. She's very pleased with herself. She has all these fans and adulation, and she just sort of accepts that as her due.
So, how the relationships between the characters reflect the societal dynamics of Tibet?
Well, so with the boy Teo, he embodies it in that he is actually a shapeshifter,
Mm.
which is a very sort of forbidden and feared thing because they can pass for human, and people really fear them. So his coming to terms with that. In fact, he's come from his village because he thought that he couldn't change shape, and it's not till he gets to Tibet and undergoes a specific set of circumstances that he is able to change shape. So he really kind of embodies the perplexity with kind of categories of who's a person and who's not a person. And Bella is Bella is one of those people who is privileged by the system and has always sort of unconsciously thought that that was fine. Of course, it is that way. You know, of course, she's the center of the universe, and really has to learn that that's actually not a sort of predetermined position, but a bit more arbitrary.
So, Ms. Cat, how did you establish the fantastical world of Tibet?
How did I what it?
Fantastical. Establish the fantastical
Oh,
world.
how did I establish it? Well, it actually came out of a game that I was working with at one point where uh, I and a number of people were collaborating, and each of us were creating a city. And so I created this city called Tibet, and I knew a great deal about it. And I knew that it's a world with two moons, actually with three moons.
Mm.
I know that it's a seaport. I know, and so I knew a lot of the major buildings because partially because I've written so many stories in this place before I ever wrote the book that the city is very clear in my mind. And so I think it's emerged pretty clearly in the books as well.
So, what role does magical play in the society of Tibet that
Oh,
how affect the hierarchy?
it is so crucial. In fact, the
Yes.
city depends on magic in order to run. It has various inventions, like it has these street lights that are magically powered. It has these huge tramways that sort of stretch over the city and carry people up and down the terraces, which are powered by magic as well. And the problem is that that magic often comes not just from the labor of the magical beasts, but also from the bodies of these beasts. For example, they have to burn up dryad logs in order to fuel the furnaces that keep the machines of Tibet uh, running. And so they're actually at a point in time where they have stripped a great deal of the continent in order to fuel the city. which is another sort of pressure on it.
So, how is the relationship between humans and magical creatures depicted?
It is, it's depicted, well, I mean, it depicted in that same way that you get a role of human beings that react to other people's situation in different ways. And some of them just say, well, that's just how things are. And some of them are sympathetic. So there are kind of people called abolitionists in the city that are trying to free the magical creatures. And then you get a lot of people that just don't even sort of think about what's going on.
Yes, definitely. So, what parallels can you draw between the class system in Tibet and the real world societies?
Oh, I think it's very much like slavery in early America. And in fact, one of the very early stories that I wrote in Tibet was based on what's called a slave narrative, which was written in the 1700s by someone who was ripped away from their village and brought over to first the islands and forced to work, and then brought up to America. And um, it's a horrific and really inspiring story in some ways, but because it's told by in the words of the guy who lived it. And so I actually did something similar with this story, which is called Narratives from the, Narrative of a Beast's Life, which basically, it's the same deal. This person has been taken from their home and brought to a place where they are enslaved, and kind of how do they deal with that?
Yes, definitely. I think in India they still have the caste system, if I'm not
Yes, very much
mistaken.
so.
So, how does the book address the themes of power, privilege, and inequality?
Oh, I think it's very much saying that we need to move towards equality, and it is at a point where the city is passing from a sort of hereditary rule to a council, an elected council instead, which is it's just the city is full of turmoil, right? There's all these different sources of it, and
Yes.
that's a big one, and I think that's yeah, I think hereditary rule or rule by the rich or that sort of thing is just not a great way to go.
So, Miss Cat, in what ways do the struggles of magical bees reflect broader societal issues?
Oh, it's really reflects the attitude, as I said, the attitudes that people have towards oppression, where sometimes we're like, oh, they deserve it, or oh, that's just how the world is, or oh, some other uh, just lack of question as to why that person has like a shitty life while we or I certainly live a fairly nice life. It's important to think about that.
Yes. So, what are the main conflict in the story and how they are resolved without the
Oh,
spoilers?
okay. Well, as I said, the boy has come to Tibet, and he has a terrible time of it at first. He lives on the streets. He runs into some people who try to kidnap him, um, and he gets beat up. And he ends up running into Bella Canto, who takes him in and it gives him shelter. And then she she ends up in disgrace. She ends up being arrested and thrown into prison. And so then he's kind of like back out on the streets again and trying to deal with the fact that he's become a shifter at the same time. And that's where we kind of leave him at the end of the book of
Hmm.
the Beast of Tibet. While Bella Canto, who starts in this position where she's doing super well. She is this sort of head gladiator in Tibet, and one of the things that happens in Tibet is how long the winter is is determined by this gladiatorial battle that happens early in the year. And if the person who is embodying winter wins, then there's going to be weeks and weeks more winter. Whereas if the person embodying spring wins, spring is going to come early. And Bella has been playing winter for literally 2 decades in the games. And so winter has been coming late to Tabat for 20 years. And people are not as happy about this as they could be, particularly the merchants. And so she gets basically, as I said, she gets arrested and thrown into prison, and that is where the thing that happens to her right after prison is how we end Beasts of Tabat.
Are there any surprising twists or moments that challenge reader expectations?
What a good question. Are there moments of challenge? Well, yeah, I think one of the things that challenges reader expectations is that Bella Canto comes off as just an arrogant snot at first. I mean, she's just so full of herself, but I think you or the kind of the reader comes to really like her and enjoy her over the course of the book and care very much about what happens to her because we see her despite the fact she's kind of fallen prey to temptation all over the place, you can also see that she's trying to do her best. She has students who she's trying to teach and do her best by, and she's not a bad person. She's just a thoughtless person.
So, Miss Cat, what does Beast of Tabat suggest about the nature of freedom and captivity?
It it suggests obviously that freedom is important and that freedom should be a sort of inalienable right, and that it is wrong to keep other people in captivity, whether it be literal or figurative, in order to keep oneself in economic good health. I think in some ways it is the same theme that Ursula K. Le Guin's short story, "The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas," is about. Kind of this idea of what do you do with this fact that sometimes beautiful, shiny societies depend on bad things.
Yes, bad things. So, Miss Cat, this will be our last episode for
Yes,
this month, and
yes.
we want to ask you again, what will be your advice for those aspiring writers out there?
Well, I would say for one thing, this is sort of the motto of my school is writers just frickin' write. So you don't worry about whether you're writing something publishable or not. You write and you get into the flow and you get into the habit of writing and you produce something, and then once you have written something, you can always make it better. You can always learn to edit. But kind of getting in the habit of writing in writing, if you're going to be a writer, you gotta be writing, is I think pretty important.
Yes. Right, 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 people.
Right,
If you
right,
have
right.
the passion to write, share to the world. Who
That's it.
knows? You
That's
will
it.
be Cat Rambo in the future. Award-winning author. Come
Yeah.
on,
Oh yeah.
people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
please, we encourage you to write, 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 and share to the world.
Yes. Yes.
And again, for sure, what will be your short-term and long-term goals in writing?
Well, I've just been going over this, or at least the short-term goals, because I do every year. It's the end of the year, so I kind of look at the last year and I kind of try and figure out what I want to do in 2025. And I have two books that I want to write, or at least get a good chunk of. One of which is the fourth book in the space opera, the You Sexy Thing series, and that's called We Are Family. And so I've already got some ideas for that, and I've started drafting that. And the other is that I want to finish a work of literary horror that I have about 40,000 words on it, and I want to go back to it. And I feel like when I started it, I didn't know everything I needed to know to write it. And I feel like now I've got a much better sense of how to write it, and I'm really excited about that one. So that's my 2025 goal. Um, in the long term, to keep writing, to keep enjoying myself, to keep running the wayward wormhole and going to a different location each year. Going to Barbados, I think I might have mentioned already this year, which is going to be
Yes,
exciting.
that's awesome.
Um, yeah. And so, yeah, I just having a good time. I'm enjoying writing and I'm enjoying teaching. I want to, long-term goals is also to see my students continue to do fabulously and eventually take over the world.
Yes. Be become Miss Cat
There we
Rambo.
go. There we go.
So, are in the beast of Tabat, are there any recurring symbols or motifs that enhance the story depth?
Um, Yeah, I think that certainly the armor that Bella uses for winter kind of is very symbolic also of all the sort of layers she puts between herself and other people. Um, there's a whole bunch of griffins, and griffins I think are often kind of a motif associated with the city. There's griffins of various sizes throughout the book. Um, and there are the moons keep showing up. The moons are incredibly important.
Very important, like our moon.
That's it. That's it.
So Miss Cat, to sum up our discussion for today,
Hmm.
how are loyalty and betrayal explored through the characters' relationships?
Oh, what did it? Okay, so I think much more with Bella than with Teo, although certainly his loyalty to her comes into question. But I think she has to figure out I mean, she knows that she should be loyal to something. She's just not entirely sure what. And so she's been going to kind of trying different things. And I think that is that journey there.
Yes. So, Miss Cat Rambo, thank you so much for sharing your talents to the world.
Thank
Again, we are
you.
looking forward for more award-winning pieces like this. And you are most welcome to come back and promote all your
Absolutely. I
books.
will. I will.
So, Miss Cat, can you please invite our listeners to support all your projects, your school, and everything you want to?
Absolutely. Please check out my books and see what you think. And check out, if you look at my website, you can get links to my Patreon and my school, the little writing community that I run. And I'm pretty happy with it. So please come check it out.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Cat Rambo because if you support her, more coaching to come, more teaching to come,
There we go.
more empowering people will come. So, Miss Cat, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This has been delightful.
More to come, people. See you soon.